For centuries, the steel industry was defined solely by the heat of the furnace. But today, we are entering a new era where data is as vital as iron ore. And this is our strategic playbook for India's steel sector, a, roadmap to navigate global instability through three core strengths. And these are basically resilience, digitalization, and decarbonization. So these three strengths are just like a three pillars. So to understand why this shift is necessary, we must first look at how the global rules of the game have changed. So then only we can have got a more clarity on the subject matter. So as this slide shows, uh, industrial operating system shift uh, in a bigger way. So the world has, as it shows, world has moved from globalization 1.0 to globalization 2.0. So we are no longer just chasing the lowest cost or the leanest inventory. Today the priority is security. So we are moving from single source uh, reliance to multi origin diversification and replacing reactive repairs with predictive digital twins. And especially this breezing or this shift is not just theoretical, it is a direct response to the massive disruptions we are seeing on global map. Now, coming to a subject matter on a dual geopolitical shocks, as we can see or look at these fractures in our supply lines. The Black Sea collapse alone cost the regional steel industry by 19.2 US dollars. Uh, that is 19.2 billion US dollars. So we can come across a huge impact. While these setbacks exist, disruption in the Middle East are also forcing ships to detour around the Cape of Good Hope, adding 14 days and 4,000 miles to transit times. And these are not just logistic delays, these are the catalyst for a massive financial squeeze. And these understandings are also very important in present context of business. Now, coming to the conflict, which are catalyzes the uh, margin compression. Uh, uh, so these shocks trigger a mechanism of pain for our margins, and this contribute a lot. As for the logistic is concerned, logistic cost at Indian port are surging by 20 to 25%, while the price of coking coal has swung violently from 230 US dollar to 430 US dollars per ton in a single year. So, for a nation with India's growth targets, this volatility is a critical threat, and is a big reason for our mm, hindering the top performance. It's threat to our national ambition also. So coming to the India's ambition versus raw material reliance, uh, India's goal is bold. That is 300 million tons capacity by 2030, as we all know. But there is a bottleneck. We have a 90% import reliance for the premium coking coal, as we have discussed repeatedly in our earlier presentations also, and which is going to be a big reason for hurdles or gaps in performance, and a severe lack of domestic washing capacity is also going to be a backup reason for this. So this 90% deficit leaves our industry exposed to every global price spike. To fix this, so we have to develop a comprehensive four-pillar defense system, and sharing this defense system is going to be also one of the very important aspects of achieving the targets. So the Globalization 2.0 playbook. Uh, so our strategy is to build on four pillar especially, and these are basically uh, market protection to shield our borders. This is number one. The raw material security to diversify our inputs is the number two. Operational resilience through the technology value addition is third, and the strategic decarbonization is the fourth. So let's look at the first pillar, how we use policy to create a safe space for growth. Now coming to the pillar one, which is about the trade shield and the growth measure. So we are playing both defense and offense. Defensively, we have implemented 11 to 12% safeguard duties to block dumping. And as for the offensively activity is concerned, the government is pouring rupees 6,322 crore into the specialty steel PLI scheme to pivot our output towards a high value sector like aerospace and defense primarily. These are the more specific to aerospace and defense. But policy is only effective if we also secure the physical material we need, and that is going to have a lot of role. Now, coming to the pillar two, which is about rewriting the feedstock network. Uh, so, we are fundamentally rewriting where our energy comes from. We are moving away from an Australia centric model towards a diverse mix of US, Russia, Mozambique. By establishing a national coking coal reserve, we create a buffer that absorb localized supply shocks before they reach our furnaces. So, however, securing the material is just the start. We must also use it more intelligently to secure more. So, that is also very important. Uh, so, unless until we use our raw material intelligently, securing part cannot be assured. So, securing means using optimal use with the value addition, the process efficiency, and many things can be done. So, as for the pillar three is concerned, which is about defending the margin with AI visual, this is where we become driven by data. So, by using uh, uh, IoT sensors and digital twins, we can now model geopolitical shocks in under 48 hours. And this predictive engine transition us from reactive fixes to algorithmic management, uh, resulting in 20 to 30%. 20 to 30% is a big margin. 20 to 30% extension of our asset lifespans. So, as we optimize our existing plant, we are simultaneously building the path to cleaner future also. Now, coming to the last pillar, that is the pillar 4, which is about the shift to low carbon autonomy, and which is going to have a tremendous role. So, decarbonization is our ultimate path to autonomy. We are moving from coal heavy blast furnace to gas-based DRI and ultimately to green hydrogen. So by 2030, increasing our scrap utilization, as we have discussed in our earlier presentation also, to over about 31% will allow us to remove foreign feedstock from our production equation entirely. So this create a powerful synergy between our digital and green goals, and which is going to be a very important aspects. Now coming to the geopolitical shield, uh, when you combine these elements, you see that green steel is the ultimate hedge. The green hydrogen uh, eliminates our exposure to Middle Eastern uh, choke points where scrap utilization protects us from Australian weather disruption. Digital twins provide the algorithmic defense we need against tariff wars. And all these syntheses is what will define our success in the 2030 matrix, and which is going to a real our success story, which will bridge the technology, which will take care of the CBAM short of competitiveness and so many aspects. So, coming to the 2030 resilience matrix, as it's shown in the slide. So this is our finish line. This is our finish line where 300 million ton of capacity, a massive surge in domestic waste coal, and 5 MTPA of green hydrogen uses. Uh, Resilience is no longer just an industrial option, it is the uh, prerequisite for the India's national security and global market dominancy. So we have the playbook. We have the playbook. Now we have to force the future uh, in the coming days. So we have to go through all these statistics, the findings, and we have to combat with the best composition to meet our target efficiently and in more competitive way.